Good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. This is Julia Ramadan, the Zoom host of this session. Uh, as as we wait for people to connect and join us, I just wanted to make a quick word, say a quick word about an email that was sent to all the registered users. So yourselves and those who will soon join us, I hope. We sent a message out with all the links for today's sessions. There is one new link that has been updated. So I hope you take note of that and only use that email and refer to that email to connect to the sessions. And as you see, there's some housekeeping rules. I think we're all sort of used to Zoom by now in this COVID-induced era. I pass the floor over to Dr. Ojwang Alice, who will start the session, and I won't take up any more of your time. Hope you enjoy.
Good morning, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to this session. Thank you for joining us and joining us on time. My name is Dr. Alice Ojwang. I'm a dietitian and a nutritionist. I lecture at the Technical University of Kenya, and I also run a preventing program for chronic conditions. I'm happy to join you here because animals and crops means food security, and it means health for the nation. So this session is about innovative approaches to enhance livestock production. We know that livestock production is been a problem in most developing countries, but we are happy to be presenting some innovative approaches that have been used successfully by our three presenters. So I'm going to go straight ahead now and introduce our panelists. Thank you again for joining us. So our first panelist is Dr. Ate Issa. Dr. Ate Issa is from Niger. He has been he's responsible for the three components of the Regional Sahel Pastoralism Support Project in the Ministry of Agriculture in Niger. He has been working in this field for the last 25 years. He loves it. He has come up with some very innovative ways of increasing livestock production and livestock safety. And he is very good with letters. He's very good with Scrabble. I can imagine playing Scrabble in French with Dr. Ate. Welcome, Dr. Ate, and we are happy to have you in this session. Thank you very much. Next presenter, please. So I'm happy to introduce my namesake, Mr. Vincent Ojwang Mariado. Mr. Vincent Ojwang Mariado holds a BSc in Management of Agriculture, Ecosystem and Environment. He is the National Coordinator of Prolinova Kenya, where together with partners he has identified and documented as well as disseminated a number of local innovations through participatory innovations. So what really they do is they work with communities to promote innovations from persons who derive their livelihoods from natural resources, including but not limited to crop, livestock, pastoralists, fishermen, and things artisans and forestry, very wide area of agriculture. They are currently working on some two projects to scale up local capacity to innovate for food and nutrition security in two counties in Kenya. Vincent also likes fishing and he also likes to read. He's been working for the last 5 years. He really likes what he does and you can see his passion when you talk to him. Welcome, Vincent. We look forward to your presentation and to get to know you some more. Karibu. I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Ameha, who I have worked with. I have met him before in some sessions. He's the head of Livestock Development Program at the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, popularly known as IGAD, and also Center for Pastoral Areas and Livestock Development, also known as ECPALD. His key area of focus is transboundary animal disease control, including cross-border animal health coordination, and improving production and productivity and trade to enhance livestock and livestock products. He has authored over 10 publications. He has contributed and supervised several developmental implementation of various regional projects, and including enhancing our resilience. Dr. Ameha holds an MSc Veterinary Science and a PhD from the University of Pretoria. I've also talked to him on several occasions. He really enjoys what he does. Welcome to my team, Dr. Ameha, Dr. Vincent, and Dr. Ate. We look forward to your presentations. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the session.
Thank you so much. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from Nairobi, Kenya, and I trust you are all well from wherever you are listening. Dr. Ellis has introduced me, and I won't now go into that. So, well, I have always believed that the world relies on farmers' innovations, creativity, ingenuity to healthily feed itself. And my experience with working with smallholder farmers for now quite some time has actually sealed that particular conviction. And this is what Prolinova has been promoting for now close to 2 decades. In my presentation, I will be taking you through a brief about Prolinova and Prolinova Kenya, and then we'll move to our good practice. Next slide, please. Prolinova is actually an acronym of promoting local innovation in ecologically oriented agriculture and natural resource management. Is actually an international network and a community of practice that understands, respects, and recognizes invaluable contributions of small-scale farmers in keeping the world healthy and well fed. And in our context as a Prolinova, farmers encompass crop farmers as well as livestock keepers, pastoralists, fisherfolk communities, forest dwellers, artisans, and all others that depend on natural resources for their livelihoods. And in Kenyan chapter country platform, which was initiated in 2007, it consists of a multi-stakeholder platform of governmental and non-governmental organizations, research and extension institutions, farmer-based organizations, community-based organizations, which aim at doing the following. One, that promotes local innovations of small-scale farmers to support sustainable agriculture and healthy food for all. The multi-stakeholder platform also focuses on the creativity and ingenuity of farmers and supporting their various local innovations. Third, the multi-stakeholder platform recognizes farmers as co-creators of knowledge, not just as recipients. This takes a slight drift from the conventional science that proposes and recommends solutions to farmers, which in some cases may not be suitable in their various contexts. And lastly, the multi-stakeholder platform recognizes or rather facilitates learning and promotion of farmer-led innovation development. So in all it does, Prolinova Kenya uses local innovations as entry point for a research, which is known as participatory innovation development. In a nutshell, participatory innovation development is basically involved scouting for local innovations and using them in a farmer-led joint research. Next slide, please. Now, turning on to our good practice for promoting innovation to build resilience to climate shock, I will take you through an innovation called Lofoda G-Meal. Lofoda G-Meal is locally formulated dairy goat meal, which is an innovation by one farmer, Mr. Joe Ouko, who is a small-scale farmer in Nyakach sub-county of Kisumu County, which is found in the western part of Kenya. The innovator formulates the meal using the locally available fodder plant materials, herbs, and mineral salts. So these things, or rather the plant materials are chopped, shade dried, and grinded separately. The reason why he is drying them under shade is to avoid any loss of nutrients that will be important in his meal. Then the ingredients are then mixed in a given ratio, and this is done to ensure that all necessary nutrients are present. In its formulation, the innovation aims at achieving the following. One, it aims at promoting dairy goat farming in the area, an enterprise which had not been embraced much in that particular community. It also aims at making dairy goat farming a viable and sustainable enterprise for improvement of food and nutrition security. The innovation also aims at building community resilience to climate change shocks. Like in the community in Kisumu and other parts of Kisumu County are generally dry throughout in most parts of the year. So the innovation aims at building their resilience to any kind of shock that can result from the change in climatic conditions. It also aims at providing a solution to deforestation, as the innovation in its making tries to avoid cut and carry technique. And this has helped in reducing too much deforestation in the area. It also aims at providing a solution to food and nutrition insecurity, and also help provide a solution to vulnerability to effects of climate change in the community. And lastly, the innovation aims at providing a solution to animosity among community members, especially during dry season, where the community members have to scramble for the unlimited livestock feeds. The innovation has undergone various cycles, and therefore there are methodologies that have been involved. The innovation was identified by ProLinova Kenya way back in 2009. And since we use the local innovations as entry point for research, which is participatory innovation development, there is always that need to build the capacity of the local innovators, because the process of joint experimentation relies on the preliminary information and documentation by the farmer innovator. So in this area, the ProLinova Kenya's multi-stakeholder partnership undertook to build the capacity of Mr. Joe Uko, the local innovator, on local innovation and participatory innovation development. And as a result of building his capacity, he was able to undertake various cycles of own farmer experimentation to give more evidence on his innovation. And working with ProLinova Kenya, the innovator then thereafter improved the innovation through the process of joint experimentation, which is basically participatory innovation development. And as a result of that exercise, we've been able to generate more evidence and also improve and develop the innovation. Like I mentioned in my previous slides, that PID, or rather participatory innovation development, is basically a process that involves scouting for innovations and use them in a research that is led by the innovator himself. And also, because gender is an emerging concern worldwide, the innovation has undertook to mainstream gender issues in the whole process of participatory innovation development. And finally, to keep the innovation on track and also to build it and improve it, that we've had participatory monitoring and evaluation that is done by the whole multi-stakeholder platform. The innovation has yielded some impacts and outcomes. And as a result of the joint experimentation, the innovations end product has been improved from the mere raw fodder substrates, and now we have the pellets and powdered meals, which are more palatable to the dairy goats. And as a result of the innovation, we've had many partners being attracted and stakeholders and showing interest in improving the innovation. And to mention a few, we've had Pelham Kenya coming on board. We've had also National Environment Trust Fund, that is abbreviated as NET Fund, also chipping in. There is also Jomo Kenyatta University of Agricultural Technology. We've also had ISIPE, among other partners that have come together to help improve on the innovation. And through the partnership, the Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, which is also a member of our multi-stakeholder platform, did facilitate the scientific analysis of Lofoda G-meal so as to establish the active ingredients in it, and also to help the farmer know the best proportions for formulations. And because it has been improved and we currently produce pellets and more refined powder meals, the innovator intends to do mass commercialization. And this has prompted us, or rather the innovator, to make an application to the Kenya Bureau of Standards for certification. And the gender mainstreaming in the whole process has seen more youth and women being involved in the entire value chain, right from formulation to marketing. Other more impacts that we've seen coming along, we've realized that the innovator has doubled his milk production and thereafter increasing his income. For instance, the innovator sells 1 liter of milk at approximately 100 Kenya shillings, which is an equivalent of $1 US, and also is selling 6 months old dough at 13,000 Kenya shillings, an equivalent to 130 US dollars. We've also seen food diversity and value addition coming in as an impact, because in this community now, we can see women develop many new recipes using goat milk. Then the families are also consuming more goat milk products, to mention but a few, smoothies and curd in their daily diets. And this has not only enhanced food diversity and value addition, but also ensure that there is improved food and nutrition security in the area. And since the innovator uses locally available resources, we've had an enhanced resource use efficiency, and this has increased communities' adaptability to climate change. The fourth here, one of the aims that we mentioned before was that the innovator aimed at promoting dairy goat farming in the area. And as you know, that goats are generally resilient to shocks of climate change. And now with the abundance of goat's feed and alternative feed, we've seen this taking shape, and most community members now are engaging in dairy goat farming. And as a result, the community livelihoods have been sustained regardless of the seasons. And lastly, we've had the innovator's capacity being built, like his innovation has exposed him to the outside world. For instance, we've facilitated him to participate in various fairs and also webinars where he has had the opportunity to share his good practice. And in conclusion, I can say without fear of contradiction that the practice is very affordable, since it uses locally available resources. Secondly, I will also say that it is efficient for both small and large scale dairy goat production, because the resources are locally available. It doesn't require more skilled labor, just small capacity building and some small direction on its formulation. And therefore, and also it can be produced depending on the demands. So if the demand is higher, then the production can be higher. And if the demand is low, the production can be low. So therefore, there will be no wastage. There will be no wastage, and therefore very efficient for both small and large scale dairy goat production. And I've also mentioned that it has shown its efficacy even in drought-prone areas. And this makes it very much replicable in various areas. For instance, we have northeastern part of Kenya that is mostly dominated by the pastoralists. And we believe that this particular innovation can be replicated there and any other part beyond the borders of our republic. And lastly, as a result of its efficacy in thriving or in working in other areas, ProInnova Kenya has promoted its replication in other counties other than Kisumu County, and we are seeing it gaining momentum. At this particular point, I will request Julia to kindly play our clip for more information. Thank you.
I am Joe Ouko, a farmer innovator. I'm at the same time the chairman of Farmer-Led Innovators Association of Kenya. We have an agri-business called Lofoda G-Mill. It is a project which has come right down from around 2009 when innovations was introduced in Kenya, and the partners that are behind the whole innovation move that has led us to this project was number one, ProInnova Kenya, number two, Calro. The two put their effort together and taught not only ourselves, but a group of innovators from Nyando, the then Nyando district, and Busia district then. Now they are counties and sub-counties. The teaching of innovations from that time gave us an inspiration to make sure our minds worked out to ensure what we were doing would come out on top of whatever people were using before to enrich lives. The basic thing about this product is we are using what goats, ordinary goats, what goats can eat anywhere in the world, I would like to say, is what we take and dry up and ration it in a way now that what we have learned from Calro and ProInnova would make it best fitting. The two containers I have the same kind of thing. They are not different. The difference is this one is crushed very soft, but this one is granules. The soft one is being used to make pellets. So the same fodder can be produced in pellet form. And we are very happy and we're really grateful that Pelham Kenya gave us on their own a machine that makes this kind of thing. So for us, Lofoda, if you gave it to a goat and a goat picks just one sort, it is like they have eaten more than 10 of those kind of fodder.
Okay, Mr. Joe, it would be interesting for us to know how you started, where you started with the Lofoda mill, how it developed until you got to a point when you introduced or developed different ingredients to make the Lofoda, the current formulation.
Yes, basically, I had mentioned some time back that we had dairy goats that were dying because they were lacking food during drought. When we saw that happening, before ProInnova came in, we were cutting trees, the fodder trees, and hanging them. So sometimes when they ate, the leaves dropped down. Then they dropped down in the units and they were drying. So later on, when we looked at the goat, they were hurrying for those dry leaves. That's what made us think if we dried them, it would be even better before the rains were off. So we took off to now collect the fodder. Now we were not chopping, because one thing we realized is if you cut the branches, then sprouting became very difficult, and we lost the leaves, and it took a long time. So what we did now, we went on to just harvest the sheath, the top parts of those. And after we harvested them, then we chopped them. We were using pangas. After chopping, we dried them, then we crushed them soft. Before we crushed them, sometimes we took different fodder and mixed them, then gave them so that they could be eating a number of those at the same time. Later on, we found that packaging, and it was taking a long time and taking a lot of space. So when we crushed them, we found we were going to pack a lot more. And now we went to the point of packing. What helped us in this packing is World Vision had actually provided a machine for crushing livestock feeds. Doing it without knowing exactly the contents was not going to be good. So we approached the Calro office. So the Calro referred us to Calro Naivasha, where we took a number of those, about 7, 8 of them. They were tested, and we found there is none of them which is below 16 protein content. And that is what we are doing now. And right now, with what we got from Isipe and the ones we collect from the local areas, we are producing enough for people who need it.
Okay, apart from the most obvious function you have given for sustaining feeding dairy goats even during dry seasons, is there any other benefit that maybe relates to milk production, since you are dealing with the dairy goats?
There is quite a lot. One is about milk. This product increases milk production. That is the one thing which is very, very good for us about it, because of the protein and the fact that we feed it dry. When a goat goes on eating dry, there is a lot of need for water. And what is known is milk is about 85% water. And the more they take the water, the more the milk goes up. So milk increases, and one benefit, therefore, which is an impact we already know in our community with those who are having it, is taking the goat milk means you are taking medicine. You are taking body immunity.
Okay, would you say anything about environmental conservation, since most of the resources that you're using are based in the environment, are based in the locality, and you're harvesting them from the environment around you?
Formerly, there is what we know about feeding dairy goats or even cows, cut and carry. Ours avoids that completely, and all those who are working with us, we are told them, please don't cut and carry. Just come and get what we have done. So the environment is really maintained because of that.
Would you try to comment on how far you have gone in terms of trying to commercialize the product?
We don't have the means to go far outside.
Mr. Joe, I've heard you mentioning that your milk production has increased. Could you kindly relate this in terms of your income?
Just as I mentioned, it is true the milk increases. And within the local area, not in the towns, 1 liter is 100 shillings. Now, a goat eating this well managed will have the milk double. So what it used to be before, goats used to have about 1 liter, 500 mils or so. But what we have now, particularly the owners whom we are managing them the way we know it should work, we cannot get less than 2 liters per day. And the 2 liters per day, 500 mils is enough for our tea, because if I have 500 mils, it's like I have 1.5 liters of a cow's milk. And therefore, if I double the money I was getting when it was 1 liter, it means my earning is more on milk alone, the improvement.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, throughout this your journey, could you maybe kindly tell us the lessons that you've learned, the challenges that you face along the way?
Yes. If there was any means the government or any other person in charge could help communities in a household having a dairy goat, then you would be sure that every house has money to do what they want. That is one very good thing. But another lesson we have learned is we cannot go very far with the product we are making and formulating ourselves here without KEBS certification. We are trying very hard to make sure our product is certified by KEBS, and we shall go and go and go.
Oh, Mr. Joe, with Lofoda, where do you see yourself and the community in 5 years' time?
With Lofoda in 5 years' time, if there was an investor that decided to pick it up, I see the community going very high in what they are earning in terms of supplying the fodder from their shambas. They will earn money. So they will have self apart of fodder made. And that factory will employ so many people. Beyond that point, what I am seeing is Lofoda is not a Jakarta thing, it is not a Kisumu thing, it is a Kenyan thing, and actually the honest thing, if it is invested, it is beyond Kenya, it is international.
Oh. Thank you very much, Vincent, for that presentation. It was really interesting. Thank you for sharing the experience and especially the video and innovation of the La Poda G Mill from Mr. Oko. So we look forward to asking. I already have like 3 PowerPoint slides of questions and comments. So we look forward to the discussion session. So I'm going to now invite Dr. Ameha Sebsibe. His presentation is on cross-border collaboration for enhancing transboundary animal disease control in IGAD region. Thank you very much. Welcome, Dr. Ameha.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank all the organizers and giving us this opportunity. Thank you, Chair. As you have mentioned, the title is about cross-border collaboration for enhancing transboundary animal disease in IGAD region. Next slide. This is the IGAD member states. The region embraces, or the economic community embraces 8 countries. And I want you to note that there is a border here with Tanzania, which I will explain later. Kenya and Tanzania, they have a Maasai community. And there is a Darfur ecosystem here with Chad and Central African Republic. Thank you. Next. Yeah, I just want to give some background before we go directly to the good practice. The IGAD region, which I have shown earlier, is very rich in livestock resources. You can see the figures: 336 million ruminants. Just to show the magnitude of the resource, is about 11% of the world small ruminant and cattle is found in IGAD region, and over 60% of the world camel is found in this region. So it's a very, very rich region, not only in number, but also in diversity also. This region is dominated by arid, semi-arid areas, 80%, and livestock is very key for livelihood. And also it earns also substantial foreign currency. This region is not only this region, Africa in general, countries are very porous. The borders are porous. Animals move from one country to the other in search of pasture, water, and trade. And as they move from one country to the other, there is a concern of carrying transboundary animal disease. So this is very critical, which is affecting production, quality, trade. So livestock trade is very important in the region, locally, domestic, and also cross-border trade, and also very important is with the Middle East and North Africa, which are deficient in livestock and meat products. The Middle East and North Africa is receiving about 8 million live animals annually. Actually, recently the figure is 8 million, but used to be more than that. It's for various reasons, drought and the number of transboundary diseases has affected the supply. But you can see it's a good number of animals our region is exporting to Middle East and North Africa, and 43,000 metric tons in 2019. So next slide. Yeah, so going to the specific topic, collaboration and coordination, and investing at border level or cluster level, for example, between Ethiopia, Kenya, or Kenya, Uganda, would minimize occurrence of transboundary disease, improve trade, and enhance also resilience of cross-border communities. So how this collaboration or cross-border MOs was done in this region which I was mentioning, just to share the experience, the methodology or the steps. The technical people were facilitated by IGAD in collaboration with our partners. We invited the directors and the officers, and they discussed a number of issues, including the national level and also the border level people, and drafted a bilateral and multilateral MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, with key priority areas to be addressed in that border areas. And during development, partners were, the relevant partners in the regions have participated. Then once the draft was ready, IGAD has officially submitted letters and the draft MOU to the respective countries. For example, if it is between Ethiopia and Kenya, we submitted to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Agriculture, or in charge of livestock, and we received no objection letter to sign the MOU. Then as a follow-up, we have developed with the countries, if it is bilateral or multilateral, an implementation framework, which helps to operationalize the MOU in question, the Memorandum of Understanding, which are addressing the key priority areas agreed in the content of the MOU. Then we facilitate the ministers of the two countries, if it is bilateral, if it is multilateral also, depending on the type of the MOU, the ministers will be facilitated to sign, and the implementation framework operationalizing the MOU. In our case, most of the implementation framework is for 5 years, will be endorsed. Then it has a governance structure also. The governance structure in this case refers to help operationalize the MOU. It has two levels. Level one is at national level, where Ethiopia, Kenya, as an example, a joint steering committee is established. And at border level, also the concerned borders, like the Moyale, Marsabit, all this comes together and form a joint committee to operationalize. Next. So what are the key areas of collaboration or the priority areas of collaboration in the MOU? Just we have had facilitated a number of MOUs. I will get back to you there. But the key areas is the two countries, if it is bilateral, they agreed to harmonize surveillance vaccination. They agreed also to share disease reporting and information sharing. They agreed on prioritized awareness creation on animal health issues among communities, and also mapping of stock routes. What are the key stock routes along those borders? What are the natural resources? And this helps for informed decision and improvement. And another key area is livestock trade. Next. So I'm coming to the achievements and intermediary impact and good practice. I'm taking as an example Ethiopia, Kenya. Ethiopia, Kenya, the bilateral MOU was signed by the two ministers, and then as a follow-up, the implementation framework to operationalize the MOU developed by the two countries. We helped them in facilitation backstopping, and the governance structure, which I explained, established at two levels. At national level, Joint Steering Committee, and as a border level, multidisciplinary technical committee. These tools, which I have mentioned, MOU, implementation framework, governance structure, once in place, they helped us to mobilize resources, to mobilize people. And we were able to have harmonized disease surveillance vaccination calendar, for example, between Ethiopia and Kenya, 2019. And we mobilized these stakeholders using the country's governance structure, which I mentioned. And for the priority diseases, which are mentioned in abbreviation, these are transboundary diseases. The abbreviation, for example, the priority diseases, the 9 priority diseases we have in the region are listed here. And we were able to vaccinate 7.8 million animals in August in one vaccination calendar. The vaccination is an important one to minimize the transboundary diseases, the production losses, and also the loss of animals. The next, please. These are a picture, an example of the vaccination in border areas. Next. So what are the benefits? The pastoralists, for example, in the one which I mentioned, the above figure, 250,000, 254 pastoralists and agro-pastoralists along the Ethiopian-Kenya cross border. As I mentioned in 2019, reduce the disease outbreaks as collected feedback from the border areas, loss of production, and death of animals. The most important thing which I want to emphasize in these good practices, if Ethiopia alone invests without collaboration with Kenya on those priority diseases, like I said, PPR, contagious bovine pneumonia, LSD, list the various diseases which I mentioned, then all the investment which Ethiopia has done will be lost. So regional collaboration is very important. Another important good practice is with our facilitation, a protocol has been developed for cross-border information sharing. For example, about sharing on disease outbreaks. If Ethiopia has some disease outbreak or any observation that a disease outbreak to come to Kenya in time, then Kenya would make all the preparation in time and avoid or minimize the loss to be incurred. So regional approach is very important. And also another approach as part of the good practices, training on participatory disease surveillance for border officers has been provided. So these are very key experiences. What is important is we need to regularize and continue sustain these practices working together. Uganda, Kenya, what I have mentioned earlier about the MOU development, the implementation framework, the governance structure remains the same, but we also, with the support of the two countries, with our facilitation, and they were able to vaccinate 1.3 million animals. This is small, considering the number of animals they have along the border. But what is important is, as a result of the good practice, the tools which I have mentioned, they are able now to vaccinate in synchronized manner. This has to continue, and that is what the lesson is. The next one, please. The same now, another good practice we have is between Djibouti, Ethiopia. We brought together the technical people, as I said earlier, and then at ministerial level, the ministers have signed MOU and implementation framework endorsed at the specified time. This has to be operationalized, like Ethiopia, Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia. Also, we did the same. The minister signed. These are very powerful, at policymakers level, minister level. Very good tool for resource mobilization, advocacy. And then another effort and successful is Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, South Sudan. This is an important cluster, Karamoja cluster. And Karamoja cluster, all who subscribe to Karamoja cluster, the 4 ministers have signed in July 2019. Also, South Sudan and Sudan. Also, we were able to bring together the 2 ministers, and the implementation framework is ready. And in fact, which I didn't mention is between Sudan and Ethiopia also, recently in September, just in September during COVID, we facilitated the 2 ministers, and virtual signing has been done. Because earlier, before COVID pandemic erupted, we were able to develop the draft with the 2 countries. So the above 5 clusters need to learn from Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda, Kenya, and operationalize the signed MOUs. Next, please. What are the lessons from this? Awareness creation on the signed MOU and implementation framework along the border attractive partners for collaboration and contribute to supporting some priority activities in the agreed implementation framework. The signed MOU ministers and implementation framework is serving as an umbrella tool. There is no need for jumping here and there by partners and NGOs. They have to contribute to that basket. Subscribe for increased advocacy, resource mobilization. The tools which I mentioned earlier serving an example for Morocco and Algeria. Morocco has controlled PPR, is a viral small ruminant disease. But because there is no collaboration with Algeria, they have got the infection from Algeria. So you can see how important is the collaboration. We have presented this experience to Lake Chad. The cross-border connection assisting in minimizing duplication of funds. The next, please, the last slide. Conclusion and recommendation. Bilateral and multilateral collaboration is key, and harmonized surveillance and vaccination need to be regularized and sustained. Sustenance is very important. Enhanced support for further operationalization of the cross-border MOU. Cross-border coordination shall not be limited with one REC. The one I listed, 6 bilateral agreements I have mentioned, 1 multilateral agreement, and operationalization is good, but unless otherwise we collaborate with Kenya and Tanzania, which I show you in the map, the Maasai community, unless otherwise we cooperate with ICAS, the neighboring, because of Central Africa and Chad, with Sudan and South Sudan alone investing, we will lose the investment. So collaboration with the bordering countries, collaboration within the REC, collaboration outside the REC is very important. Next, please. Final acknowledgement. We were able to achieve all this because of our partners' collaboration with FAO, AOIBR, EU, USAID, World Bank. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Hamehe, for that presentation, and thank you very much for also sticking to time. We look forward to questions from the team that's attending the conference. Please post the questions on the chat. We earlier had a problem with audio, and Dr. Ate was not able to present, but we're going to give him an opportunity now. We hope the audio problems have been resolved. Welcome, Dr. Ate.
Merci, merci madame, merci beaucoup. Donc, je m'en vais rapidement vous faire l'économie de la présentation sur l'amélioration de l'accès au marché pour les pasteurs et agro-pasteurs. Au Niger, donc une étude de cas du projet régional d'appui au pastoralisme au Sahel. Donc, relativement au volet appui aux infrastructures des marchés. Voilà. Voilà. Donc, je disais que le Niger, c'est un pays d'élevage par excellence. Donc, le sous-secteur de l'élevage occupe une place importante pour l'économie nationale, pour les pasteurs, les agro-pasteurs, mais aussi pour l'économie, en tout cas au niveau des communes. Nous savons aussi que ces marchés constituent des plateformes importantes de mise en marché des animaux sur pied, mais aussi une source importante de revenus pour l'État et les collectivités territoriales. Donc, l'accès au marché demeure une condition essentielle pour l'amélioration des conditions de vie des communautés pastorales. Donc, l'accès au marché permet aux éleveurs de convertir leurs animaux en ressources financières indispensables à l'acquisition des produits alimentaires, d'intrants, produits vétérinaires, aliments pour bétail et autres produits et services de première nécessité. Vous m'entendez, j'espère, hein?
Oui, oui, c'est parfait. Continuez.
Okay. Donc, je suis sur le cellulaire, j'ai dépassé ça. Donc, nous avons constaté au niveau du Niger que malgré l'importance du commerce de bétail dans l'économie nationale et dans l'amélioration des conditions de vie des pasteurs, agro-pasteurs, que les aménagements au niveau des marchés ne sont pas faits. Et même quand c'est fait, ce n'est pas vraiment adéquat. Donc, sur environ 635 marchés à bétail que le Niger dispose, très peu de marchés sont munis d'équipements adéquats. Donc, c'est pourquoi, lors de la formulation du projet d'appui au pastoralisme au Sahel, donc notamment au niveau de la composante 3, facilitation de l'accès au marché, on a prévu la construction ou la réhabilitation de 29 marchés à bétail au profit des pasteurs et agro-pasteurs. Donc, pour rappel, le projet PRAPS est un projet qui est né de la déclaration de N'Djamena, mais aussi de Nouakchott, pour un peu faire des infrastructures structurantes au profit des zones pastorales, là où il y a des communautés, en tout cas pastorales et agro-pastorales, qui mènent en tout cas leur activité à travers l'élevage dans son ensemble. Voilà, donc voilà un peu la zone d'intervention du projet. Donc, comme vous le constatez, au niveau du Niger, nous avons, en termes de zonage agroécologique, donc une zone dite saharienne qui est un peu au nord là, mais la zone pastorale en elle-même, sensu stricto, elle est colorée un peu en verte. Et plus au sud, vous avez une zone agro-pastorale. Donc, nous avons une loi qui limite carrément la zone de culture. Et comme vous voyez, c'est ça qui est un peu en haut sur la carte. Donc, il n'y a pas l'agriculture, il n'y a que l'élevage en fait qui est développé. Donc, le projet, en tout cas, intervient, comme vous le constatez, au niveau de cette zone pastorale. Vous avez en rouge les couloirs de transhumance, puisque nous avons un système, 3 systèmes d'élevage, un système sédentaire en zone agricole, un système agro-pastoral, mais aussi un système extensif qui exploite un peu sous forme de transhumance, de nomadisme avec les déplacements. Et voilà un peu en termes, en tout cas, des systèmes d'élevage, de la carte d'intervention aussi du projet PRAPS Niger. On peut avancer. The next slide. Donc, la composante 3, en tout cas, est une des 5 composantes du projet. nous avons une composante sur la santé animale, une composante sur la gestion des ressources naturelles et une autre composante sur, en tout cas, la prévention des crises pastorales. Et la cinquième, c'est la coordination du projet. Maintenant, pour la composante 3, elle est structurée en 2 sous-composantes principales, notamment la sous-composante appui aux infrastructures des marchés et au système d'information sur les marchés pour faciliter l'accès des pasteurs, en tout cas, au marché. Et une deuxième sous-composante qui s'organise autour des appuis aux organisations des producteurs interprofessionnels et facilitation de commerce. Voilà un peu en termes de la présentation de la composante 3 du PRAPS Niger. Voilà. Donc, l'innovation en fait que nous allons vous présenter consiste en fait à concerner l'accompagnement que nous avons effectué par rapport à la première sous-composante, notamment celle qui va permettre aux pasteurs d'avoir accès au marché à travers l'aménagement, la construction des infrastructures marchandes qui prennent en compte un peu donc les avis des différents acteurs et parties prenantes. Donc, nous avons dans l'immédiat en termes de méthodologie, donc pour garantir en fait les approches, nous avons un guide pour l'accompagnement en ingénierie sociale, mais aussi une note technique pour la conduite des accords partis relatifs à la construction et réhabilitation des marchés. Et nous avons aussi, en termes d'approche, d'abord procédé à une pré-identification des différents sites de marché. Comme vous le constatez, l'économie pastorale chez nous n'est pas monétarisée. Donc, il y a très peu de marchés en zone pastorale, mais plus vous descendez, vous avez des marchés de collecte à la lisière de la zone pastorale, telle qu'elle est présentée. Vous avez aussi des marchés en zone agro-pastorale, mais aussi des marchés vraiment en zone agricole, donc le long des frontières internationales. Nous avons donc dans ce cas pré-identifié les marchés en tenant compte des couloirs de transhumance et autres centres d'intérêt des pasteurs. Donc, on ne crée pas un marché si on constate que le marché est là déjà et que les acteurs ont besoin des infrastructures, c'est en ce moment que le marché est pré-identifié. On peut avancer, il y a quelques critères pour gagner du temps, on peut avancer dans ça. Dans tous les cas, on a une note qui explique clairement comment on choisit, en tout cas, on identifie ces marchés à bétail. Nous avons aussi procédé au démarrage du projet, maintenant à l'identification véritable des différents sites de marché, à leur validation en impliquant tous les acteurs et autres parties prenantes. Et là aussi, entendez par partie prenante, tout ce qui est commune, parce que chez nous, au Niger, la maîtrise d'ouvrage, c'est les collectivités, les mairies qui ont cette maîtrise d'ouvrage. Mais vous avez aussi tous les acteurs du marché, vous avez aussi les producteurs, notamment les pasteurs, agro-pasteurs, qui doivent être impliqués en tout cas dans le choix et la validation des différents sites. Nous avons pris des normes en tenant compte un peu des dimensions. Par exemple, un petit ruminant a besoin d'un espace de 4 mètres carrés. Et un gros ruminant, on a pris à peu près 9 mètres carrés. Et en fonction du volume des animaux présentés et vendus, on détermine à peu près la superficie, en tout cas, qu'il nous faut pour vraiment accompagner la commune dans l'aménagement de ces marchés-là. Et par la suite, nous suivons un peu tous les processus maintenant pour la conduite de l'accord parti avec les acteurs pour avoir les différents consensus en termes du site, en termes, si vous voulez, de validation et de l'aspect gestion des marchés à bétail. Parce que chez nous, les marchés à bétail, il y a plusieurs modes de gestion. Donc, on accompagne un peu les acteurs eux-mêmes à choisir quel modèle de gestion. Et par la suite aussi, on regarde un peu les différentes commodités des marchés. Est-ce que les commodités, qu'est-ce que vous voulez qu'on vous mette en termes de commodités, c'est-à-dire d'infrastructures au niveau des marchés? Donc, entre autres commodités, donc il y a les parcs couloirs de vaccination, il y a les hangars, il y a les enclos de vente, il y a les toilettes, latrines, maintenant avec la prise en compte de la dimension genre et croiser en fait tous ces aspects-là, avec aussi ceux qui font les petits commerces. L'idée ici, ce n'est pas d'imposer un plan type tel que nous l'avons conçu ici au bureau ou bien tel que le cabinet que nous avons pris l'a conçu, mais c'est de partager et de valider ces différentes commodités-là pour qu'au finish, en tout cas, qu'on ait des infrastructures qui répondent au mieux, en tout cas, aux attentes des différentes parties prenantes. Et ça, C'est ça que nous appelons la conduite des accords partis. Et finalement, lors de ces conduites-là, nous arrivons même à organiser en fait un atelier communal avec en présentiel tous les conseillers municipaux et puis les différents acteurs étant présents et on valide un peu les accords là. Maintenant, nous avons, vous savez aussi pour la conduite en tout cas des travaux d'infrastructure de ce genre, il faut prendre les préoccupations des uns et des autres, notamment pour ce qui est des barres de fonds, nous avons tout ce qui est aspect, prise en compte des aspects environnementaux et sociaux, notamment la question des screenings environnemental et sociaux au niveau des 29 sites de marché à bétail, la question d'évaluation sociale, il faudrait le faire, il faudrait prouver que en fait, le terrain sur lequel on va mener l'infrastructure n'est pas la propriété en tout cas de X ou de Y. Et il faudrait en tout cas qu'il y ait tous ces aspects-là, qu'on ait vraiment un rapport d'évaluation sociale et environnementale de tous les sites et qu'on ait les actes de sécurisation foncière qui dit que le site n'a pas de problème. Ensuite, nous avons recruté un cabinet d'études qui nous a fait tout ce qui est aspect technique, notamment l'APS, l'avant-projet sommaire, l'APD, avant-projet détaillé, mais aussi les DAO qui prennent en compte donc les aspects environnementaux et sociaux, mais aussi les débats qui ont été faits lors des différentes étapes pour la conduite des accords avec les communautés bénéficiaires. Ça, c'est important. Et par la suite, donc, nous avons fait un chronogramme pluriannuel à notre niveau là pour pouvoir bien suivre un peu la mise en œuvre de ces activités, de ces infrastructures et au niveau terrain, parce que nous avons fait 14 lots de marchés habitats, les 29, pour lancer la construction de ces marchés d'emblée. Et ça, je pense que c'est un aspect important du point de vue capitalisation, parce que nous vivons quand même dans un contexte sécuritaire dans certaines zones des pays, comme Difa, où nous avons la secte Boko Haram. Donc, il fallait trouver un créneau pour pouvoir très rapidement faire ces infrastructures-là pour que les pasteurs et agro-pasteurs et tous les acteurs en bénéficient. Et la technique ou bien l'innovation ici, c'est en fait de donner les marchés en bloc et de faire en sorte qu'il y ait l'allottement là de 14 marchés en même temps et de faire un DAO unique sur la base desquels, en tout cas, on a lancé les avis d'appel d'offres aux entreprises. Non, de l'autre côté aussi, nous avons tout ce qui est aspect mécanisme de gestion de plaintes. Donc, ça, c'est important.
Monsieur Athé, excusez-moi. Rapprochez-vous du micro, s'il vous plaît.
D'accord, d'accord.
I think if we don't get him, then we have to stop. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry about that.
J'ai presque fini. J'ai presque fini. Donc, je disais que nous accompagnons un peu les acteurs, donc en tenant compte un peu des principes des accords partis que nous avons élaborés de concert avec tous les acteurs. Donc, je disais, après avoir passé en revue les études d'impact environnemental, social, réaliser tout ce qui est aspect DAO avec le cabinet, faire les différents lots des marchés. Et donc, c'est de lancer en fait la construction de ces marchés-là d'emblée, en même temps pour une période de 3 mois. Et ça, en 3 mois, nous avons vraiment construit tous les marchés en dehors du marché de Torakou, qui a nécessité beaucoup plus d'études poussées. Et nous avons, avant de démarrer les activités, formé aussi les entreprises pour qu'elles puissent prendre en compte les aspects environnementaux et sociaux. Nous avons aussi mis en place des mécanismes de gestion des plaintes au niveau des communautés bénéficiaires, c'est-à-dire au niveau du site même du marché, au niveau de la commune, mais aussi au niveau de la région concernée. Pour
Monsieur
que,
Athé,
en tout cas, quand il y a
une minute, je vous invite à conclure. Merci beaucoup.
D'accord, donc on a un prochain slide là. Prochaine slide que je ne vois pas. Et voilà. Donc tout ça, c'est déjà, j'ai déjà parlé de ça. Donc par la suite, nous avons, quand les marchés ont été réceptionnés, nous avons équipé les marchés à bétail avec vraiment des bureaux, avec un certain nombre d'équipements, mais nous avons aussi accompagné les communes bénéficiaires sur la mise en place des structures de gouvernance des marchés. Maintenant, là aussi, les accords ont déterminé quel type de structure de gouvernance il faut mettre en place. Et nous avons mis en place des comités de gestion multi-acteurs, mais aussi accompagner les mairies à la mise en place des systèmes de gestion délégués pour la plupart. Voilà. Donc, en termes de résultats, nous avons en fait une meilleure implication des collectivités. Ça, c'est un aspect important, et des bénéficiaires. Nous avons aussi, en termes de résultats et impact, la prise en compte des commodités du cahier de charges destiné à l'aménagement des marchés à bétail que le Niger a élaboré et validé. Nous avons aussi l'implication des OP, c'est-à-dire les organisations de la société civile pastorale et de l'interprofession, ainsi que d'autres acteurs dans la mise en place, en tout cas dans la mise en œuvre des accords au niveau des différents sites. Et nous avons pris en compte l'aspect genre, inclusion sociale dans toute la procédure d'accompagnement, en tout cas relative à la construction de ces marchés-là. On peut avancer là. Prochaine slide.
Okay,
là,
I'm very sorry, Mr. Interpreter and the presenter, but we have to stop this now. Very sorry about that.
Monsieur Athé, il va falloir arrêter. Oui, nous devons interrompre. Nous avons énormément de questions à adresser. Merci.
Ok, donc voilà.
Un seul mot de fin. Merci beaucoup.
Voilà, je vous remercie.
We apologize for that. The presentation shared. Yes, thank you.
Je vous remercie, madame. Merci.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Okay. Thank you to all the presenters. We do apologize for Dr. Ate's audio problems earlier on. So we have spent so much time, but we have had a successful discussion. I see people have been contributing to answering some questions, but with the time left, we are going to take, I'll ask 2 questions to Dr. Vincent and then 2 questions to Dr. Meha, and then the time that is left, we can discuss further questions. So to Vincent, I have a question from Mr. Jacob Wanyama. And it is, how do you see this process being replicated in the dry areas of Kenya and the region, which is most affected by droughts, leading to many pastoralists, animals dying? Vincent, please, thank you.
Thank you very much for that important question. Indeed, I mentioned in my presentation that the innovation can be replicated in dry areas, just like Nyakach, where it is actually being implemented. And in those dry areas, they are dry, yes, but there are still some trees or plant materials that grow there. And on how this innovation came into play, the innovator keenly monitored the plant materials that these goats were feeding on. So it's as a result of that observation that he decided now to formulate the meal. So in this context as well, in those other parts where pastoralists are losing their animals, these pastoralists can be trained or rather have their capacity strengthened to monitor the feeding preferences of this of particular goats. And then from there, we can formulate a goat feed that will be good in their context.
Okay, thank you very much. I actually had in the video that he saw that they eat dried leaves. Thank you. So the other question is from Rose Hogan, and it is regarding marketing of livestock products. Why is there such little promotion of dried meat products, both traditional and non-traditional? Biltong is a very high value product financially in stores for years. And I can confirm that I lived in South Africa and I ate a lot of biltongs, and it is sold everywhere in the country. So over to you, Vincent.
Oh, thank you very much. I think when it comes, value addition is one part of the value chain that hasn't been that much exploited by farmers. And that is why we don't see much on dried meat. We also, even when it comes to vegetables, we don't see dried vegetables as much in our markets. So I think this is an interesting area that partners should now come together and actually try to promote.
Okay. Yeah, I think it is something worth promoting because it's also food security.
Sure.
So I have two questions for Dr. Ameha. Dr. Ameha, one of the questions is there collaboration on other thematic areas apart from disease management? Dr. Ameha?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair, and thank you. I remember Rose or someone raised this question. Already I have answered on the chat. And yes, there is one is in the same MOUs which I have presented. It's not only on transboundary animal disease, but also on livestock trade, because trade is the final objective. Anything you raise, you consume or trade it. So trade, we have an element of trade on that. Plus also we have, IGAD has also a cross-border, the transhumance protocol, a regional transhumance protocol that has been reviewed by IGAD member states, and IGAD member state has already endorsed it. Now the IGAD is working with the countries on how to operationalize, on how to delineate the corridor and operationalize it. So these are some of the agreement protocols, but we have a number of regional strategies which are of importance to the region: rangeland management strategy, animal health strategy, SPS, sanitary phytosanitary strategy, a number of others. Anyone who is interested, he's welcome, who can share. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. One other question is, what is the status of the MOU signed on collaboration areas at various levels? And this is definitely also, how are you able to mobilize the resources for operation of the signed MOU?
Thank you very much. As I have tried to indicate, operationalization of the MOU is at different stages, like between Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda. Once we have all these tools which I have mentioned, the MOUs, the implementation framework, governance structure, there are some efforts on using those tools, mobilizing resources, mobilizing stakeholders, and undertaking vaccination, which is a key for controlling disease along the borders. There are some successes which I have mentioned, vaccinating like 7.8 million along Kenya, Ethiopia border, 1.3 million along Kenya, Uganda. This is the first, but this is going to be regularized and sustained. Other clusters or bilaterals between like Djibouti, Ethiopia, Djibouti, Somalia, and Ethiopia, all these Sudan, South Sudan, they need to learn from others and operationalize. We have some resource to help them, but it is important also for them to mobilize from the countries themselves and also from the partners, because they have tools. The tools are very important for resource mobilization. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Hamehe. And I'm sure this MOU is also taking care of, it also includes cross-border collaboration between the neighboring regional economic communities. Thank you for your question. So I'm going to request one of the translators to please read a question in French from Dr. Sali Mohamedou. I'm unable to read French this time round. I request one of the interpreters to please read a question.
Je vais la lire et le traducteur va vous traduire en anglais. Alors, la question de M. Saleh du Niger, c'était bonjour, commentaire sur la communication du docteur Até. Compte tenu de la faible capacité des entreprises, il a été lancé toutes les marches dans le respect des mesures de sauvegarde environnementale et sociale. Nous les appelons les marchés à bétail de deuxième génération, car disposant de tous les équipements nécessaires pour assurer une viabilité des transactions, les structures de gestion de mise en place constituent aussi un gage de durabilité. Donc, c'était plus un commentaire qu'une question. C'était pour compléter la présentation de M. Até.
Effectivement, c'est un commentaire. Hein.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. So I'll go back to Vincent. I have a question from Dr. Ameha to you. It says, has this innovation, and I believe he's talking about Lafoda G-Mill, verified on some similar farmers for repeatability for wider scaling up? What is the feedback on the followers or on the ground?
Thank you very much for that question. Now, like I did mention before, that ProLinova uses participatory innovation or development approach as a method of research. So in this participatory innovation development, there are very many partners and stakeholders involved, including farmers, not necessarily the innovator himself, but also other farmers. So when we are doing this joint experimentation, we are also having other farmers trying from their end, because at the end of the day, we as ProLinova, we encourage adoption and adoption. Adoption in the sense that you can take it as it is and apply it where it suits best, and adoption in the aspect that you can have it as it is and do some small modification to make it work better in your context. So it is something that we have been doing and we are still doing.
Oh, well done. I think everybody's excited about this innovation. So one of the questions is from Mr. Abed Kiwia, says, how is the Lafoda G-Mill packaged and how much does it cost in terms of Kenya shillings per kilogram, or if you wish, dollars?
So far, we haven't done any packaging, and we are on our way doing that. We wanted to ensure that we have a quality product first before we release it into the market, because the idea was we first ensure that the community, is food and nutrition secure before it is outscaled. So I think we are now convinced beyond reasonable doubt that it works. And now our next process now will be packaging and see how best it can be commercialized.
Okay, very good. In relation to that, we have another question from Mr. Wanyama. It says, what can you say about competition from other large commercial livestock feed companies?
Okay, great. Of course, in every market, there must be competition, and that makes the game sweeter. And in this particular concept, one, local innovation, or rather Lafoda, is an organic product. And we all know how organic products sell themselves in the market there. So in being organic in itself has some undue advantage over those other products or rather feeds produced by the large commercial companies. So I think that is one advantage that the farmer will have over his potential or prospective competitors.
Okay, thank you very much, Vincent. We have a question from Mr. Herbert Jaffa. It's in French. Would the French speakers please help us with this? Thank you very much.
Dr. Alice, the comment has been already translated, and thank you, Charlotte. And it's basically mentioning that IGAD cross-border cooperation should be shared with the Sahel region. It was an observation. So I don't know if anyone wants to make a quick reflection, and I'm sorry, but we need to wrap up after this reflection. Thank you.
Okay, before I hand over to you, I'd like to thank all the speakers, Dr. Ate, Mr. Vincent, and Dr. Ameha. We're sorry for the technical hitch, and also we'd like to thank the participants. You're very active. A lot of the questions have actually been answered on the chat. So thank you very much for making the session lively and contributing to its success. Thank you, and over to you, Julia.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was a great presentation, and the chat box again is yet again a testament. I want to let all the participants know and reassure them that everything has been captured. Apologies again for the technical glitches and hiccups. The virtual world is yet to be conquered, but we persevere, and we thank you for your patience. I want to remind you that in 15 minutes, we have 2 parallel sessions. So please do make sure to check the programs that the day program that has been sent out this morning, and connect to the presentation you'd like to attend. And also we have a final theme thematic main session on social protection later today. So thank you so much everyone for attending this amazing presentation and session, and thank you for the interpreters. Goodbye. See you in the rest of the sessions.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, merci. Bye bye.
Merci, Monsieur Athé. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci, merci beaucoup.
Bye bye. Merci, madame. C'était un plaisir là.
Thank you.
La
Thank you very much.
technique
I will learn
n'a
French.
pas beaucoup marché là, l'internet était faible. Merci beaucoup.
Non, non, ça s'est bien passé à la fin. Merci beaucoup. Nous avons
Merci.
été ravis de votre participation.
Thank you, everyone. I'm ending the meeting now, so this might disappear in a second. Thank you,
Wait, can I-
everyone.
let me copy-
Merci, madame.
Copy the links to the parallel.
Okay.